Good afternoon and welcome back to By Any Greens Necessary. I'm Melvin Thompson. I'm your host. I'm the Executive Director of the Endeleo Institute. Endeleo is the Swahili word for progress, growth, and development. We are the community development arm of Trinity United Church of Christ, located in Washington Heights at 400 West 95th Street. We invite you to come to our farmers market. We've only got 2 weeks left. I can't believe it. 2 weeks left at our wonderful farmers market. We had about 250 people last Saturday, and this Saturday is going to be hot. Literally hot. I think it's 90 degrees predicted for the next several days, and that means watermelon sales will be at a premium. So we're looking for everyone to come out and enjoy these last 2 weeks. We're having one of those traditional Chicago summers where we get hit with this blistering heat, and so we're blessed because we know other parts of the country are experiencing just traumatic climate change and all kinds of earthquakes and floodings. And, you know, our prayers go out to all of those people across the world that are suffering. And so we have nothing to complain about, and we just hope the best for them and pray for them every day. We were off last week because we had several things going on. There's so much going on at Endeleo, and we want to share a little bit about it. I got a chance to travel last week to Washington, D.C., and actually engage in a national conference of other community engaged organizations that are partnering with academics and institutions around community health. And so I got a chance to talk about our farmers market, of course, but the most important thing is I got to moderate, believe this, I got to moderate a panel discussion around data and how data plays an incredible role in how communities cure their health. And so by partnering with other organizations, with community development and academics and researchers and clinical professional people, these things all come together. So I was privileged to be a part of for the second time in September to go to Washington, D.C. Last year I was a guest and I merely asked a question, and the next thing you know, I'm moderating a panel discussion this year. So it was a privilege to do that. I think I have an overhead of something that I wanted to share. This is myself and a couple of the panelists, and I'm talking here about the renovation of the Carter G. Woodson Regional Library, which many of you know Endeleo spearheaded with community support a couple of years ago, and the library is coming along fantastically. And one of the things that we wanted to talk about in Washington was how the library could be more than just a library, but actually a hub for information, a health information hub, if you will. And so once the library reopens in December now, we're going to actually leverage Woodson as more of a health information hub where folks in the community can come and learn about the things that are plaguing our communities that'll lead to better health. So there'll be connections to free screenings from a federally qualified health center in Christian Community Center. So we'll be doing a number of different things that will improve the health of our library, of our community through our library, if you will. And it's just another way of actually using an existing asset in the community to improve it, and getting the community to actually participate in its own healing is the ultimate goal. And since we have so many people, 25,000 folks that come through that library every month, the community is extremely excited. If you've driven by 95th and Halsted, you have seen the beautiful culturally relevant colors that adorn the building now. It's not the dark, dank building that it once was just a year ago. And so we're excited. I get calls every single day about, Melvin, when is the library going to be open? And soon, very soon. And we're going to be feeding you more information about when that day is coming. We're actually sitting down with the library to talk about a celebration of the library. So there's going to be a really big deal made about it, and the community will certainly be involved and engaged. This is a live call-in show, so if you have any questions or any comments about anything, please give us a call at 312-738-1060. We're going to talk about a number of things. While I was in D.C., I got the opportunity, the incredible opportunity to visit the Smithsonian, the National African American Museum that is widely just talked about in the city. Anytime I mentioned to a cab driver or someone in the hotel that I was on my way to the library, to the museum, they would always respond and say, "You can't get in there. You need a ticket. That's the hottest ticket." And I just happened to have a pass that someone had emailed to me even before I arrived in D.C. And so I realized that that was a very hot ticket. So when I actually entered the library, I asked the attendant, could I have that ticket back? Because I wanted to keep it for prosperity. But it is an amazing, amazing space. I didn't have a full opportunity to visit everything, including the downstairs portion, which is amazing because I believe it starts in our history as early as 1400 all the way up to President Obama. And I remember one of the tour guides telling me that it's a mile-long walk. Because you can't stop anywhere in between it and come upstairs. You have to, if you go down there, you have to finish the entire trip just to take in the whole experience. And so I opted to go to the higher floors to see culture, community, fashion, music, which in itself was still overwhelming, and I didn't get a chance to actually take all of that in. The sports, I mean, it just runs the gamut. Music, everyone from Public Enemy to James Brown, and choirs, our famous gospel music, just community activists, which really resonated with me because of what we do here at Endeleo as an organization, just to see how folks that look like us stood up for us during times when Woolworths, for example, wouldn't employ African Americans in their stores. And so back then we boycotted those stores and refused to enter or patronize those stores until they hired folks, and they eventually did. And so activism didn't begin, 20 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It began a long, long, long time ago, and we're standing on the shoulders for all the things that we're accomplishing today. And so it is mandatory. We're going to be taking our young people as part of an education grant that we received this year. We're going to be taking young people from Robeson and Finger to this historic museum in the coming new year, and just so they can get a sense of what our heritage is and how we have persevered through all of the discrimination and all the barriers that have been placed in front of us. We have still risen above that. So I urge you, I mean, having gone there, I think I have an overhead of something. Yeah, I do here. This is actually myself standing outside of the space and just being in awe of it. It was designed by a Ghanaian brother that is just tremendous, and I don't want to give too much away of it, but it was just a inspiring time, and I urge you strongly. I wanted to make sure that I took some time to encourage community groups, churches, and all people of all races to actually come, because it's really a diverse crowd that's there. And there are actually people that wait every day, because the museum is free. It's a free event, but the key is that you need to have a ticket, and that there are people who literally sit outside the library, the museum, every day, hoping that they'll have the opportunity to get in and witness this. And then I got a really strong appreciation for what folks were telling me when I mentioned to them that I was going to the museum because of how difficult it is to get there. So I hope you get a sense of what I'm trying to say. Feel free to give us a call, 312-738-1060. Listen, I wanted to make sure that in these last 2 weeks that you got a really good sense of how much we appreciate you coming out to 95th and Normal and visiting and shopping and just engaging with us at the farmers market. We talk about it all the time, but the farmers market really represents a model of cooperative economics where African American people are engaging and shopping and spending time with each other. We have a record number of African American vendors that are working alongside farmers, entrepreneurs, and other creatives, and we're just excited about what we see in a village type atmosphere. And it only reminds me of what our communities used to be like not so long ago, where we really, just depended upon each other for our needs, and we didn't really go outside of our communities to satisfy our needs and our wants. And what we saw and what we see every week is a snapshot of what life along our corridors could be, and that's part of the mission at Endeleo, is really to revitalize the 95th Street corridor between Halsted at 95th Street, where the library sits, and then at 95th and the Dan Ryan. So that mile long stretch between the Dan Ryan and the Woodson Library, where Trinity sits directly in the middle at 400 West, that's our place where we want to improve, because from 95th and Wentworth back to the train station, we have some definite challenges, some blight, some buildings that should not either be standing or should be repurposed for something else. And so we're going to be spending the next 18 months really focused and strategically working with the city and urban planners to create some kind of path that leads to the train station that is conducive to walkability and just making that area safer, more well lit, friendlier, and just a place where people will want to walk and be less dependent on autos driving by. And so that's it's a step-by-step process. I think the first thing that we wanted to do, and we've been highly successful in doing it, and that's revitalizing and supporting the farmers market. And I think that has gotten the community engaged. They're looking forward to it. Again, we're averaging probably about 250 people every week, which is definitely a jump from the last couple of years. And so we've used this USDA grant, I think, to the hilt. You'll notice that there are billboards that promote and market the farmers market. And I think it's just, we've got radio ads where the Pastor Moss, comes on and encourages people to shop there. So I think food is the connecting piece in community, because we're not eating the way we should, and farmers markets are conducive to nutrition education, learning how to prepare food. You've seen guests on the show come on and talk about how they've taken squash or how they've taken black eyed peas or something and done something creative with them that's quite simple, quite affordable, and something that will last in your household. And at the end of the day, it's good for you. It'll reduce hypertension. It'll reduce high blood pressure and diabetes and all of these things. I don't want to touch that third rail of the sugary drink tax, but at the end of the day, I think we should be drinking more water anyway. And so whatever side of the fence you stand on with that, I think at the end of the day, water should be the optimum choice now. And so we see a lot of our young people, as some of the commercials have indicated, that are suffering, and those are real statistics. Our young people are drinking, sugary drinks and eating things that aren't, conducive to better health at a very young age. And so now you're seeing 9 and 10-year-olds that are suffering from diseases that adults would typically be associated with, and that comes from having a plethora of corner stores in communities in absence of a healthy grocery store. And so the farmers market, what we envision is extending that season, and right now we're working on what they call a farm to school concept, where we'll see more farmers extending what they do and what they sell into some of the Chicago public schools that are in our community, and just introducing them and their parents and community to healthy eating. And at the same time, while young people are learning about agribusiness and opportunities that are rising every day in terms of technology, when it comes to farming, because farming isn't the same old farming that it used to be. While at the same time our community is learning how to eat better, farmers are prospering. Okay, this is something that we can do to help African American farmers sustain themselves and make a living out of what they do beyond just summer, because they spend probably 80% of the year cultivating, harvesting, planting, preserving food, only to bring it 60 miles north to communities like the Washington Heights community in hopes of selling. And they've done well. They've done extremely well, and that's why they've come back for a second year as strongly as they have. And we're just excited to have them back. But at the same time, there's more that we can do to support them, because they are getting a little older. And some of the farmers have, relayed to me that, boy, I don't know how much longer I can do this, and that they're starting to train a new generation of young African American farmers. We had Brother Donnie Moore on several weeks ago, who talked about all kinds of things and how he sat at the knees of some of these elder farmers and gleaned so much, and now they were willing to share parcels of land for him to train on, and now he wants to give back by going out to our communities and showing our young people what was shown to him, so that we can grow our communities this way. So I hope this all makes sense to you, because this is an ecosystem, right? This is a living and breathing organism of communities that are participating in their own economic development. And I think it's important that yes, it's always great to get some kind of support from the outside, but everything's beneath our feet, and we need to take advantage of it. I do want to show you one aspect of what went on at the market last week, and I don't know if you're familiar with what we call the smoothie bite, but I want you to get a look at this and see if you can make sense of what's going on here. This is actually one of our young people who works for us, and she is making a smoothie on what they call a smoothie bite, right? So there's a canister on top, there's fruit inside of that, and she's actually making a very healthy fruit drink with just natural fruit and juices in there, and you get to exercise by making it. And so that's one of the things that we like to highlight at the market. And again, speaking to the the sugary beverage tax, that's healthy. There's exercise involved, so all around it's a win-win situation. It gets young people involved, and it's fun, right? So what's the downside to that? And so if you come out to the market, you're going to see that for the remaining 2 weeks. That's a provided to us from University of Illinois at Chicago, who has been a very, very strong partner with us from the beginning when we did our corner store assessments a couple of years ago to assess whether there was healthy foods in the corner stores that are in our community to now. So, we've got great partners. We're looking forward to working with CPS on this farm to school concept, and we're just excited. I mean, the market, time has flown by this summer. We've had an incredible amount of great weather, and now it's heating up and just at the right time for us to close this thing out. But we're not going far because, again, we're going to be doing this farm to school concept. And, we've identified 2 schools. I believe one is in Inglewood and Robeson, and then one is in our community in Roseland and Finger. And we're going to be working with 30 kids in each school. And, beyond the nutrition education that we provide, we're going to also have the farmers come in. So we'll do mini markets at the farmers at the schools. We'll do we'll set up school gardens so those young people can get their hands in the soil and kind of learn from scratch how to plant, how to preserve, how to harvest things, and then, hey, how to sell. And who knows, what will come out of this. But at the end of the day, it'll be intergenerational. I always struggle with that word. But it'll be, young people, conversing with our elders. And that's what's missing in our community today. And so I encourage you all to support Endeleo. Please go to our website at Endeleo Institute. .org. That's EndeleoInstitute.org to learn more about all the work that we're doing. And in the coming weeks, you're going to learn much more about the library's grand reopening. We're going to be just blistering the airwaves and social media and just about every medium you can think of because we're super excited. We're going to have health kiosks inside of the library so that you can interact electronically to find out about health issues that may be plaguing you. So if there needs to be a cancer screening, or if you want to find out more about how to check out about prostate cancer or anything like that, we're going to be doing that. Dementia, the library is going to be the city's first dementia-friendly library. So just a ton of things going on along the 95th Street corridor, and this is just what we envisioned along the 95th Street corridor. And so everything's coming together through food, and I just encourage you to follow Endeleo Institute on Facebook, on Twitter, sign up to our Constant Contact subscription, and just stay engaged with us because it takes a village to raise one. And so look for us next week. Come to the market this Saturday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's going to be hot. Bring an umbrella. We'll have plenty of ice cold water for you to drink, and we'll see you soon. All right? Take care.